By now, you should have people that are saying, we want to vote for this organization.
Buza lo question kwentwana ndihamba nazo bakuthe zingasebenzi nje.
Utheni ningasebenzi?
Mna ndika-accountile ngoku. Yes. But ke zange sikwazi ke abantu babese crazy ama-comrades bayi uviva. Akwatyiwa ke ngobalamba ngoku. Now enye into ezawuthetha ububhanqa ngabangaziyo bequota
Njengobani?
ndizothetha loo nto. Ndibiza amagawa ndiyawurhabulisa nje uyawufakela uyawuthwala umnqwazi uzithwelele lo mnqwazi. So sithela ngento ye-apartheid ke ngoku. Sithi ngoku abantu abaphetheyo ngoku asikwazi utyhola i-apartheid yakudala.
That's true.
So indaba ye-education eTranskei thina hayi bafika bayitshintsha kama-comrades sayi-integrate apha. Sahamba sawuthatha isyllabus yaseNew Zealand esakwakudala yajulwa kwii-dustbins zaseNew Zealand. Eyona nto ngubani? Kunasika nguMinister uBhengu.
Leaders and thinkers, movers and shakers, welcome to another edition of the GLC Podcast. My name is Luphumlo Joka. I've got a very special guest with us today, General Bantu Holomisa. General, thank you so much for your time. Siyabulela kakhulu. Asithatheli phansi lento yenzileyo, you just come and sit down with us. I wanted us to talk a bit about your journey as a parliamentarian, your journey as someone who loves South Africa, as a patriotic South African, and what some of your key learnings are over the past 40 or so decades of you being in the public eye and all of that. But I know that a lot of people don't know your story. I've got your book. I've listened to multiple interviews you've done. There's abantu abaninzi, they don't know your story and they don't know where this journey of yours started. Can you just take us back briefly? Where did this journey start? Even looking at pre-democratic South Africa, what was happening in your life and how did you get to be involved in politics?
Well, my journey, I would say, started at Jonglizwe College, a college for sons of chiefs, where we were taught leadership principles.
Yes, sir.
And then fast forward, I joined the Transkei Defence Force then, and I rose through the ranks, having done courses in Transkei and also abroad. And I ended up being a commander of the Transkei Defence Force in 1987. In the same year, the military decided to remove those who were in power in the Transkei then because of their corrupt activities. And in 1988 early, we established links with the liberation movements. The rest is history up until 1994. And the Transkei, I think it was the only homeland which I would say was a semi-liberated zone in the entire South Africa, because we could train members of Mkondo Wesizwe and APLA, and also sent even our soldiers in Uganda to train MK in their military bases there. Then we integrated Transkei back to South Africa in 1994. And then I was appointed a Deputy Minister of Environment and Tourism. And then I spearheaded the current environmental policy, which for the first time, the issues of environment, the Africans were always associating it with a thing of the people who are rich. Currently, we still have challenges in our areas because we have failed to inculcate a culture of ownership. That means before you go to work or you wake up, you clean, you mark your bed, you clean your yard, and then when you go to work, you don't throw things through the window.
Yes.
So that's inculcation, lack of a culture of ownership. So currently, I'm a member of Parliament because in 1996, we parted ways with the African National Congress, and in 1997 we established our own party called United Democratic Movement, whose vision has always been to address the backlogs and imbalances of the past.
Yes.
And our philosophy is that you will never build South Africa depending only on the performance of stocks and bonds. You have to intervene as a state to improve the infrastructure of South Africans, especially those who are disadvantaged.
Yeah.
If, for instance, you come to areas like these, you can see that the town planning has, in the last 29 years, has not been applied here.
Yeah.
Because the streets leaves much to be desired, as you can see. The question of the dwellings, the housing itself, we cannot be proud to say we've delivered houses when we cannot even match the old forums which were built by the apartheid.
Yeah.
Apartheid wouldn't build a house in the first instance without bringing water, without electricity, and tarred streets. But our own government would just build a, what you call Vezinyao,
Yeah.
and then it says it's delivered.
Yeah.
No sewage system, nothing.
You've lived in both systems.
Yes.
You are part of the apartheid system. You are there. I mean, I'm sure you've got multiple stories to tell of that. 30 years post, it's post that 1994 iconic, event that happened that enabled so many South Africans to vote. A lot of people, especially younger people, they throw around careless statements, and I'm asking this just because of what you said now, because you said at least the apartheid government could deliver, proper housing and all of that. I think you can't compare, and I'm going to ask my question. I think you can't compare like so many other people, the apartheid government to the current, because of whatever they were providing for a select minority. You can correct me here. So in your experience, when you compare the two, having lived so many years, what comes to mind when you see how black people, how poor people are living and how they were living then? Is there a difference? What are your thoughts?
Well, to be honest with you, there are big differences. The apartheid was cruel politically because they didn't give us a franchise to vote. But at least we credit them for having provided jobs, for instance, for making sure that there was discipline in schools. Teachers were teaching. Thirdly, the old system, if you compare a RDP house and a four-roomed house, you can't compare because those four-roomed houses were quality. But what we thought in 1994, that we were going to build better things, even in the campaign of the manifesto of the ANC. Madiba says we'll never live in the box boxes, houses. We thought we would build a better one. But to our embarrassment, we built worse things. Now, in terms of lack of culture of ownership, I've been campaigning in Port Elizabeth before 1994, all over South Africa. At least the waste...
Under the ANC?
Yes, under the ANC. At least the waste management, at least it was properly managed at the time. Today, everyone just dump. You go every corner. There are mountains and mountains of waste. This is our government. These are our people. But you understand, because the monies which were supposed to build streets, to fix roads, potholes, the comrades are eating the money. That's why they are fighting. The infighting within the ruling party is not about the competition of service delivery.
Yes.
It's about the access to resources. Who on earth would believe that an ANC government would legislate or ask or form bogus companies like Bosasa to take government money and channel to them to run their organization.
Was it formed by the ANC government?
Bosasa?
Yeah.
Bosasa, yes, it was formed during the ANC. Remember, Bosasa, before it was Jambu. It was a company formed by Women's League of the ANC. It was called Jambu, led by Umabonakude, Nabo former Speaker Baleka and others.
Yeah.
Then they converted that company, but partnership ne Watson Brothers ezalapepai. Kwafonishwa lento okuthiwa iBosasa.
Yeah.
Vile pha kulansika kuZondo Commission. Besithi hayi besisakha estate besigcwalisa stadiums.
Yeah.
Besifumana imali kuBosasa. Besithenga ama-t-shirts. Besebenzisa i-office kaBosasa for ama-elections. Kutsho bani? Kutsho bani be-NCP ku-commission. Kutsho bani? Ubani lamlungu lo emkhulu loyo
Agrees.
agrees.
Yes.
Kayiphika. Zange baphike. Omantashe belungiselwa bi-cameras. Bafakelwa ngulo Bosasa. Zimali ezi bezifamba zinceda aba bantu zonke ziqesha abantu. We can't say i-apartheid ke ngoku siba comparison apartheid when it comes to a question ye-service delivery. Bafelishile.
But General, that's very problematic because I don't know.
Stop being sentimental.
No, it sounds like that statement Helen Zille made about how the colonialism wasn't that bad. Because if I look at a couple of the things that you've said, that at least you are saying at least there was discipline in schools. But we're not looking at the schooling system in itself. That educational, how discipline without proper education, what does that do?
Today, what proper education do we have?
At least we got rid of that Bantu education.
No, I agree. No, I don't disagree with you. But the system, is it producing quality students?
It's a question for another day.
Take, for instance, look at the judges we have in this country. Most of them, the products of Bantu education.
Are you saying Bantu education was a good thing?
No, I'm not saying so. It affected the black population.
Yes, sir.
All I'm saying is that the little airs are ebantwini bakuthi. Mandenze pha kuthi eTranskei, because getting this education system was the best. That's why abantu abaninzi bebesuka kwi-townships.
Yeah.
Mhlawumbi ndithetha kuba mna bendikulaa system yapha.
Yeah.
Abantu abaninzi bafunde pha kweza colleges zaseTranskei. Baphinda bayogcwala e-University of Transkei usu ngoku. So i-apartheid ifana nento endingathi xa ngaba uhlamba umntwana uzawuchitha amanzi akusesi uchithe nomntwana. For instance, jonga kwindawo ye-job creation. I-Transkei ibiqesha ufundileyo nongafundanga, because sasinootrako bowulima, sinabantu botyala amahlathi, sinabantu bodilisha ne-soil erosion, sibe nabantu bolungisa indlela, sibe nabantu bomaintain izikolo. Ndithetha ke ngoku nge-Transkei endandiyikhokhela. And okwesibini awungasoze ufumane inkukuma nje igcwele nje naphi. People babeyazi into yoba i-waste management yalapha khona i-systems. Ngoku wonyula ii-councillors. The councillors which were running i-townships zalapha under i-apartheid babengamkeli imali, babevolontiya, but zaziclean ezilokishi. Sangena thina, sayinikwa ibudget, sayitya imali. Uyakhumbula nalo system yalahlwa esithubeni.
Yeah.
Nezi zika-entshi zimane zitshintshwa.
Yeah.
But if uye eLesotho, uye eSwaziland, wafumanisa uba mhlawumbi abetha ngee-O levels, zi-permanent. So we lack pillars ze-education team. Asikafumani iyona nto iyo, because now siproduce students azikwazi uqesheka, because kuthiwa no equality yazo ayikho right. So there is a lot of work. Mna ke ndingumuntu practical. 2001 we launched a project called Tutuka.
Yes.
Whose aim was to produce more black chartered accountants. Got 2008, we began to supply grade 9, 10, 11, 12. Get study guides, the English, the maths, and accounting. Dithetha nawe nje that project yegqitha ku-2,000 students as qualified as black chartered accountants. That's the kind of quality esiyaziyo endandiyirhabule siyititshwa i-accounting e-University of Transkei 1979 siyititshwa nguprofessor Nkuhlu lo. Lena imfitshimfitshi ikhoyo awuyazi nje uthi umuntu ugqibile une-LLB, une-B Proc, whatever. Uthi emfoneni draft preamble. Umqeshile lo muntu okanye uyi-research. Uboma kunzima kwa ubhala i-preamble. Uproduce intoni lo muntu lo? I-education ye-freedom. So akufunekanga sixoke, mna ndidibane nento exokayo. Ibintu irongo khona ubinhle inhle.
Yes.
Okubi okwenziwe i-apartheid basidepriva ngokuvota sashiyekela emva ne-education system yabo, but at least le nto zasifumene eTranskei saqamela ngayo siseme ngayo nangoku.
I want to come to the ideological construct of the UDM.
Yes.
We know what EFF stands for. We know what the DA stands for. We know what other parties stands for. Briefly, ideologically, where in terms of the ideological spectrum, where does the
UDM is social democrats. That is why we are calling for state intervention in the economy. That is why we are calling for the state to develop the infrastructure so that if you want to open a business here, you must have access to internet. But at the same time, we are not blind. We want to make sure that this cake is baked properly. In other words, the capitalism says support, because ubangaba uthi ngoku socialist system kuphela. In other words, we believe we mixed economy.
Okay.
So mayibhakwe icake, babantu abakwazi ubhaka icake, iqhekezelwe nabanye kutyiswe naba bengakwaziyo.
Okay.
So silapho ke ndana.
Okay. If you look at you've been the president of the UDM now for quite a long time. You've been a member of parliament for quite a long time. Since we grew up, we've been watching you on TV. What are some of the key notable victories of the UDM that you would say, you know what, if I were to hand over my reins tomorrow, A, B, C, D, E are the key things that I would be proud of as a parliamentarian, as the president of the UDM. Just take us in terms of now all of your time as president of UDM, as a parliamentarian. What are those things?
Notwithstanding the fact that we didn't have the pleasure of having more MPs like DA, ANC, but we have been effective. You remember that when ANC and DA introduced the floor crossing, it affected us. But still, we condemn that legislation. Today, as we campaigned against it, today as we speak, it's no longer in our statute books. It was the UDM which said there has to be a party funding legislation so that you don't end up being controlled outside the country or by one business.
So that was introduced by the UDM?
UDM. 1999, we launched a manifesto, sasiyifakile lo party.
Party funding.
Yes,
must
party
be
funding.
legislated.
Yes.
Okay, that's
yes.
number one.
Number two, it is the UDM ART. Lento yokuthi abantu abangaphangeliyo mabafumane imali sipha kwimanifesto yethu le ngokubanika o-350.
Yes.
Sayiqala phaya kwi-founding documents zethu. 3,
but did you table that in parliament?
No. We put it in our manifesto.
Okay.
Yes. But ke zange sikwazi ke abantu babese crazy ama comrades bayi uviva akwatyiwa ke ngobalamba ngoku. Now enye into esendicimba ndingasayibalula ithe kwakuvela i-corruption. Sithi abantu ekudala si-consistent ngokuthi emadoda iyaphela imali, abantu bengaqondi athi hayi lowo unomsindo bawagxothwa kwa-ANC, emadoda iyaphela imali. Yawuphela yasateklisha ne-chairperson we-IEC. Samkhumbula uPhensi Hlakula wakhutshwa ngubani? Khutshwa i-UDM. Wayengu-chairperson wantoni? We-IEC. Saphuma apho sazongena kwinto kaThuli Madonsela. Report kaThuli Madonsela, i-UDM yenye yeeparties eyathi xa i-ANC ithi uZuma kenzanga nto. Yayisquash i-report kaNantsika. Ndathi kuJuju emadoda. Nifikile makwefana bam kanisese-reinforce. Masiye ne-Concord.
I remember that case.
Ethanda sayise-Concord.
Yes.
Bengafuni u-ANC into yoba le report mayixoxwe okanye implement. Usakhumbula besithi telling us ukuthi no, there was nothing wrong there because that swimming pool was a fire pool.
Yeah.
Sathi language.
And those are just recommendations.
Yes. But so immediately they close ranks. Once one of theirs is involved, they normally close ranks immediately. But we cracked that. Sabase Court and the Chief Justice in the Concord declaration by Parliament emotionally up. President yabo delinquent, constitutional delinquent.
Yes.
Kudala sibhethisha. Ayo UDM yenza ne-secret balloting.
I don't know.
Iyo, ndizama ukuxelela. Kuba ungayazi ayiwine Concord naleyo. So if uthetha ngento ye-numbers, as-invest much, asibinawari ngendaba asina-numbers ezininzi eParliament. We based qha into zethu kwi-quality. Now kuve xa uthetha ukhwankwa pha uba laa nto iphuma kule ntwana inomhluzi. Kunalo umnike i-20 minutes ezawuthetha ububhanqa ngabangaziyo bekota.
Njengobani?
Ndizothetha loo nto. Ndibiza amagama. Ndiyawurhabulisa nje uyawuzifakela, uyawuthwala umnqwazi uzithwelele loo mnqwazi.
But if those, I mean, those are quite notable things, General. But
ke consistent. Yileyo promoter ethics of good governance.
Okay.
Noba ungaya kwi-website yethu www.udm.org.za every day uzawufumana uba sireyisa izinto zokulahleka kwemali. Ii-communities, zonke ii-communities zase-South Africa zindibizile. Naphaa kwi-website uzawufumana uba xa siyile phaa kuloo ndawo sibhale ileta sibhale relevant departments. That is ke ngumsebenzi wesiwenzayo as members of parliament.
Yes.
Thina kwa-UDM. But ubungaya kwenye kwezi uthathe zonke ezinye iiparties ezi ukuvula eza websites zazo. Ndiyakuxelela ngoku singabheja ngoku ndibeke 100,000.
That's a lot.
Uba UDM xa ungene kuyo awuzufumana every now and again beselalini ethile besesikolweni esithile. Siyacontributa ke socially nathi, social responsibility. Siyabazamela abantwana izikolo apho bahlelekileyo like computers.
Yes.
Khona ezinye bendisanda uyiposta last week.
That. Yeah.
Personally also i-popularity yam ndiyayisebenzisa kwinto ye-golf. Ndinento kuthiwa Bantu Holomisa Charity Golf Day. Iya kwi-19th year ngoku. I-proceeds ziya ezicaweni, ziya kwi-disabled schools, and imali xa sinikiwe ayizi iya kumthatha country club. Then umthatha country club udisperse ezo mali kwezo charities. So asihlelanga nje.
So why is the UDM not growing? Because you're doing so many good things. Surely by now you should have people that are saying we want to vote for this organization.
Buza lo question kwentwana ndihamba nazo bakuthe zingasebenzi nje. Mna ndika-accountile ngoku.
But when you reflect as the president in your internal conversations, can you reflect in terms of numbers? I mean, you are such a popular figure. When you go and speak there, people are listening. You've got a credible...
No, Chief. Mandingakusikude. Inoba imistake lapha kuthi ngokungakwazi uzimaketha.
Okay.
Yenye ye-weaknesses zethu esizibhaqileyo ezo. to be honest with you, UDM has been growing by a mere word of mouth of a leader's eye. We have never had a budget yokuthi sizawuspenda kwi-marketing. Sibhiliva kuba yonke into mayithwe in source, because nale nto risk ukuthi uzawumakethelwa ngumuntu othile kanti i-opponent yakho ikhupha into ezingayiyo ezingahambi kakuhle. But ke siyasitshintsha istrategy. So noba uzawubona next year uba ukho umahluko. And also you must remember, when we established UDM, the climate was not conducive for us to do so, because we were working there, ne giants ezingoMandela, the icons. Uyimbovane wena bazi elephant ungubani wena ba baweske ngoba ubona basiyi-threat baza ne-floor crossing legislation. Yasihandicapha ke leyo ngalo xesha. But ngoku we said, no, let's stop recruiting people from other parties. Masiye kwi-South Africans, but invest more kulutsha. Yokuqala i-product yethu yiyola niyayibona ngukhwanga. Ngoku sinozigebe ngoku ona 35 years oyi-Secretary General ye-UDM.
I know him very well.
Benamanye amasela pha nami endisebenza nawo. So lulutsha abizwa ngamagama manje abantu abayi.
In terms of solutions, last couple of questions, Jenna, before we let you go. In terms of solutions, load shedding, youth unemployment, all of these things that are plaguing our country. Going into 2024, what are the solutions that UDM is proposing? Masiqale kwi-load shedding. What should we be doing?
Okokuqala, we have to do skills auditing at Eskom. Who is running our Eskom? Do those people qualify to be there? Do we have proper engineers? The infrastructure of South Africa is collapsing as we speak today. Here, for instance, you have been struggling with water. The dams are full at times, but bringing water to the townships, they don't reach this area. That means the pipes are old. So you need, therefore, proper people who understand town planning, town engineers. If you talk about roads, again, do the people you are giving tenders to understand what they are doing, or they just build poor quality roads in order to make a profit?
If I can interject, EFF says we must do away with the tendering system. What does the UMA?
That has been my position.
Okay.
Because in Transkei, I practice as an experience. I had public works where it employed people between 35, 40, 45, 50 years old. People who cannot get jobs, especially those who are illiterate. You just orientate them, and then they worked with the engineers for public works.
So skills audit only?
Skills audit kwa Eskom. Before uze uthi ke ngoku, you are going to invest money.
Okay, in the infrastructure.
Infrastructure ye Eskom. Because look, ngoku kuthethwa nge-renewables. We are being told to move away from fossil fuels to renewables. What it means now, we must make sure that the generation of electricity and transmission of that electricity, as well as distribution, is a line. Who is going to do that? Do we have proper engineers? If we don't have such qualified people, we have bilateral agreements with many countries. I'm sure those countries can second their engineers to take us out of this problem currently on Eskom.
Okay, because of time, how do we fix this inequality gap between the rich and the poor? What's the solution from UDM about that?
Well, the first thing is that we must do away with the strategy of the ANC government, where they deprive people or create opportunities for people to be employed or empower them to be wealth creators on their own. Instead, they just dole out the grants. It's a strategy, the way I see it, which is designed to control us. so that they are going to say, these people cannot be independent. Once they are independent, they are not going to vote for us. So we must dangle a carrot all the time. Wake up, here is breakfast, there's lunch, sleep. Tomorrow, go and vote for me. The homelands, the old government of apartheid, the mines, the agriculture, and so on, they were incentivized in order to create jobs for the people in their own areas, even industries. If you go to KwaNdebele, go Transkei, go Ntoni, go Siskai, nazi factories empty there. They are lying fallow umhlaba kwakulinywa pha.
Yeah.
Because ANC withdrew as our incentives. Yintoni ebahlulayo? Banantoni ithini policy yabo? Ungaqeshi.
Yeah.
That's their policy.
Yeah.
Nama against policy ungaqeshi. Ndifuna uba umuntu makaqeshe ofuna uzimela azimele. That's why kwakukhona i-Transkei Development Corporation. U-CDC ngeke undixelele uba unceda bani apha eBhayi.
I-CDC.
I-CDC.
Unceda mna. Seke wandinceda nawe.
Hayi apha.
Apha elokishini.
Thina ke sasinceda noselalini.
Okay.
Ngoku eza business kubuye ngoku abantu basePakistan ziranwa ngabo ngoku.
Yeah.
Hayi madoda, i-reversal le man.
Thank you for your time.
Unless they want to pretend as if they are living in exile in their own country. The UDM every now and again is talking about stop corruption because the money you are misusing should have been channeled to address these socio-economic problems we are having. Next year, this year they must register, especially the youth, so that next year they begin to shape their future. In doing so, they must make sure that they go and vote next year. One-party dominance breeds corruption. In the last 29 years, that is what we have been witnessing on a daily basis. I would challenge anyone. Look right now, we have got presidents who struggle to finish their terms, except Thabo Mbeki. The other two are having dark clouds over their shoulders. Indani, why? Indaba yamasheri.
General, thank you so much for your time.
Okay. Of course. Sabule.
Yo, have you got pictures?